Welcome to Paperback Perspectives, a podcast about books, where your hosts, Ryan, Kaylin, and Annette, give you their perspectives on all things reading. Cozy up in your favorite book nook and let's dive in.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Chapter 2 of Paperback Perspectives. We are going to do a little small talk life update, what we're reading now. We had a Q&A section that we posted on our social medias, which we will plug at the end. So if you want to ask questions or make comments, wait till the end, and we will give you all of our information. And then we're going to do a little judge a book by its cover that producer Sam has picked out 5 book covers that we probably haven't seen before, and then we're just going to see, based on the cover, whether or not we're going to read them.
Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so let's just go into small talk. Kaylin, how was post-graduation life?
It's good. I have done nothing. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. My days just go by and I do everything that I want to do without the lingering bug of guilt in my ear saying, you need to study. You need to study now. And so I'm free. I'm weightless.
Do you have a countdown for how many days till you start your new job?
That sounds kind of sad, so no.
No countdown. Okay. No countdown.
No, I do not have a countdown. But I have a list of things to do during break.
I love
it. Reading is obviously one of them. So I have read a lot. So
What
it's
else
been
have you
awesome. I've done some crocheting because I got into crocheting.
Nice.
Shout out Woobles.
Love Woobles.
Everybody should try the Woobles.
Sorry, you were just talking that way.
Okay. And then what else have I done? I cleaned the house. I got a new cleaning gadget. Bissell Steam Shot is the best cleaning gadget of all.
No free ads, but it looks awesome.
Sam, I was home for one day, post clinicals, home for one day. And I tell Sam when he gets home, I'm like, I would like a new cleaning gadget. He's like, you were home for one day and now you want a cleaning thing? And I was like,
quickest
yes.
for me.
Yeah.
Sure.
There you go.
Bathroom was spotless not the next day because we're shipping, but
Since you're available, I have a
Yeah,
bathroom.
yeah, we have a bathroom.
Feel free to stop by.
bathrooms seem like a personal thing you should clean.
Oh,
You can also come see our
Lauren's
I see
nodding.
here.
Lauren's
Okay.
nodding.
All right. I think we should do a shout out, as we mentioned, postgraduate, but Kaylin is now Dr. Kaylin.
That is true. Congratulations.
So thank you, University of North Dakota, and all the hard work of Dr. Kaylin over here.
Specifically the PT department. They rock.
Woo. And speaking of school almost being done, Mom, how many days do you have left?
I have 4 days left.
Not that we're counting.
Not that
4
we're counting.
days total. 4 days with students.
4 days with students and 1 day of clerical.
Nice.
And we're in the insane craziness where you just laugh. So you survive days of school right now. In the world of middle school, let's just keep your head above water. And I'm looking forward
Don't
to
drown.
lots of summer fun.
What do you have planned for the summer?
Well, we decided yesterday that we're going to make a bucket list of things we want to do this summer. And we're going to golf as much as we can. Fridays are already blocked to meet my brother and golf with him.
Fun.
We're going to try to bike 100 miles and walk 100 miles.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And I want to read a lot.
Fun.
Nice.
So I should have lots
You
of
got a
what
full
I've been
summer.
reading. I am ready for it.
You've got a full summer. Ryan?
Yeah.
How's sticky life?
Sticky life be sticking.
For context, Ryan works for Sam's company, Sam's dad's company, future Sam's company, called Sticky Construction. So that's why Ryan's life is sticky currently.
Just always sticky.
Always sticky. What are you doing for the summer?
Working. Taking a lot of trips. Lauren and I are going to Minneapolis over the weekend.
What are you going to do?
We're going to go to a Twins game.
Who do they play this
Go
weekend?
Twins, go.
The Rangers,
World Series champs.
who just got swept by the Phillies.
They did.
So maybe they're not
Okay.
going to be doing too well.
They're going to be
Okay,
there
okay,
for
okay.
Pablo Day.
Oh, I don't know, actually. I'm not sure. We're on Saturday, the Saturday day game.
Are you going Friday?
Oh, yeah, we get a free bobblehead.
Ooh.
Yeah, a Joan Duran bobblehead.
Fun.
Probably mispronounced his name. And then we're
okay.
going to a cat cafe.
Weird.
It's not weird. It's in a separate part of the building. You walk in, you get your food in one area, and then there's a separate room where all the cats are at. So they're not in the cooking area.
How many cats are we talking? 100 cats? Or
No,
5?
probably.
Okay.
They're all adoptable.
Okay, that's
So,
kind of cute.
That's not just
That's
a
a good
bunch
idea.
of a weird lady having all of her cats there.
Do you know that old YouTube video called Muffins?
Yes.
This makes me think of cat hair. Like do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I know what you're talking about. Like one of the
Paper
first
clip.
YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Banana.
Yeah.
Handy at the keyboard over there, you will be watching the Sheriff bitch
I'm
on
watching
Saturday.
Chris Paddock.
Ooh.
I like that.
Also, Michael Lorenzen should be fun to watch.
Hopefully he sucks.
I hope so too, but he is a fun pitcher.
Yeah, he is.
Well, that sounds like a fun trip.
Yeah, we're gonna go golfing down there too.
Cool.
And then anything else?
Going to cool bookstores.
Oh, we should go to a bookstore.
Meggers and Quinn. Meggers and Quinn.
How do you spell that?
Magers and you know the fancy and.
Ampersand.
Q. Wait, what? It has a name?
It's called an ampersand.
Would you like us to do it in duo again?
Did you know that there's a punctuation mark called an interrobang?
What does it look
Sounds
like?
emphatic.
One
It's
of my
like-
favorites. It is the exclamation point and question mark right after.
Oh, I
each
use
other.
that all the time.
Yeah.
For emphasis.
But they're like squished together.
Could you repeat the name of it again?
Interrobang.
Thank you. It sounds like we're at a spelling bee.
Can
All
you
right.
use it in a
of or-
sentence, please?
Country of origin. please. Banana. Meggers and Quinn. All right, we'll go there.
It's really, but it's like by a really cute park, and there's also a cute coffee shop that's by there. The park, like, there's a walking path like around a lake. Highly recommend. It's cute.
All right.
That sounds awesome.
There you go. Add it to the itinerary
Perfect.
because mom has drilled all of her children to have itineraries when traveling.
Why wouldn't you?
It's not
Yeah.
a strict itinerary. It's just a
That only applies when visiting cities, not lakes.
yes.
How
No
else,
itineraries when visiting lakes.
How else are you
Itinerary-
gonna miss amazing things like the wienery?
Yes, exactly.
Hey, you guys have had experiences no one else had, and you're welcome.
There's Meggers and Quinn.
There we go.
That's really cute.
It is cute.
Okay,
It's big.
it's on the itinerary.
Yep.
All right,
How about reading now? Who wants to kick us off with what we're reading now?
I think Kaylin should.
I can. Okay, so audio. I am reading. I'm not very far into it. It's called The Girlfriend by K.L. Slater. Essentially, the premise that I know so far, a Bob. Our minion Bob just fell over.
For those of you watching on YouTube, you got to see Bob fall.
So there's this guy that we know who is a husband, and he's at his house with his wife and 2 kids. And we also know that he also has a girlfriend who just had his baby.
What's the name of this book?
The Girlfriend,
The Girlfriend,
by
okay.
K.L. Slater. It's an audio or Audible original, so you can only like listen to it on Audible. I know, sorry, bougie. But so we find out he died in a car accident we hear that in the beginning. And then the girlfriend shows up at the wife's house, comes in and is like, "Yo, your husband is my fiance. This is his kid. This is also my house and I'm not leaving."
Dramatic.
So that's all I know about that so far, really.
Ooh.
They're just like, they just sat down to like
okay.
have that chat. So
That's fun.
tense. And
So that was
then
your audio.
I am reading House of Sky and Breath, book 2 of Crescent City.
You
I
had
love Hunt Athalar.
You had an emotional moment
Oh my
after
gosh.
reading book 1.
It's so good, you guys. It's got 5 stars. Book 1, 5 stars. It is so good. I don't want to do any spoilers, but in true SJM fashion, like the last, like 200 pages are just like, oh my God, how is everything happening? And lovable side characters, like, you know how our side characters are. Like, you just like, oh, you love them. You want them to be your friends.
They are our friends.
And I won't spoil anything, but I was very emotional at the end of it. Tears at midnight, alone in my bed.
Oh boy.
How did the first 100 or so pages go with the world building?
Yeah, so it's slower. I honestly thought, I didn't bring the book down here, but I honestly thought it was going to be slower, and I thought I was going to have more trouble with it. But honestly, I felt like, having read other SJM books, it kind of like Sarah J. Maas, by the way, if anyone's confused by SJM. I feel like if you've read other fantasy, it's easier to get that world building because you're kind of like already on board with like, okay, this isn't our world, this is somewhere else. I did like refer to the map she has at the beginning, because there's different like.
Kaylin loves a book with a
I
map.
love a book map. Book maps rock.
The book that I'm reading right now doesn't have a book map, and they don't have like
Oh.
a glossary. It might be in the back. I haven't checked, but it drives me insane because like I can't
Yep.
reference something to go back and check
Yeah,
easily.
I love a book map, but it's really nice because hers has the city. It's called Crescent City. Duh. And then or like Lunathian is like the old name, but they call it Crescent City now because Luna, moon, crescent, moon. And then there's like different. Each city section is for like a different subspecies of like there's fae, angels, shifters, werewolves, humans, the meat market, which is not a great place to be.
Sounds
The bone quarter, which is also not a great place to be. But anyways, I did have to refer to the map quite a bit, but otherwise it was really, I thought it was easy to catch on. And like, since I have read fantasy, I'm familiar with the different species. Like I'm familiar with like Malachim is angel and like fae, like what fae are and like werewolf, you know what I mean?
Especially
so like,
since the same author, so it
yeah,
probably
so like I know
translates
different
a little.
species already. I didn't have to be like, what are all these like
What'd you say the angel thing was?
Malachim, Malakim.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
It's just like another name for angel. So like anytime she references that, I'm like, oh, angel. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. I feel like I've been going on. You guys can go off what you've been reading now.
Sorry, I'm just looking at producer Sam is pulling up a picture of Malachim Angel, and
I believe I'm saying it right.
you probably are. It makes sense.
Sam, look up a picture of Hunt Athalar.
Hunt. That's a great name.
He's hot.
Okay.
Hunt.
Athalar fan art?
Yeah, because I like to look up fan art.
Whoa. I don't think we can show that on YouTube, Sam.
Oh boy, we're giggling.
He looks like Rhysand.
And we love Rhysand, so.
There you go.
We do.
Anyways, what are you reading, Mom?
I just finished reading the tandem read on the Throne of Glass series, so I'm ready to start Kingdom of Ash.
Which is,
So that's on my radar. I also just finished reading Silent Night, Hercule Poirot's Silent Night by Sophie
I
Hannah.
think you said it wrong. Hercule.
Sorry. Hercule Poirot. I just finished reading that. So if you have not ever followed Sophie Hannah, she has been given permission by the estate of Agatha Christie to recreate and continue the book series.
What an honor
And-
that is, honestly. Like,
yes, and they're really
you're
good,
chosen.
and they really do follow the style of Agatha Christie. This was probably my least favorite of the ones in the series. I believe there's 4 of them in the series, and it wasn't a bad book, but it wasn't my favorite. Just the style of it wasn't my favorite story. Maybe it's because it was taking place at Christmas, and it's not
It's
Christmas.
not Christmas. I kind of have a hard time when books
Yeah.
are set in Christmas and
Yeah.
it's not, like, especially if it's like if it's January or February and it's still snowy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can still get into the energy, but like
Maybe that was it. And it was good, but it
Yeah.
wasn't my favorite of hers in that series.
maybe try again.
Yeah, I can. And at school, I am facilitating a book club with middle school kids. So a little middle school read called Dry by Neil Schusterman, which is set in a world where there's no water and everybody's trying to survive. And it is kind of based on the premise of after not very many days, civilization falls apart and people quit following rules of civility, and it spirals out of control very quickly. So there's some 7th, 8th grade-ish. Well, actually, I think it quotes them as being in high school. So maybe I would say 15-year-olds that end up together on this mission to survive. So reading that with 7th graders right now.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. I want to read that book.
I always like thinking about the mindset of the author. Like, the author thought, what if I didn't have any water, and then wrote a whole novel about it? Like,
Yeah.
when it's like, where do you get these ideas?
They created a whole
I-
world around it.
I
Yeah.
will tell you this.
It was just thirsty.
It is very good for one's hydration, because while reading this book where nobody has any water,
I didn't hear what he
I'm
said.
constantly drinking water.
Sam just goes, maybe he was just thirsty.
I get thirsty while reading it.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a bunch
There you go. All right, that's what I'm reading. How about you, Ryan?
I'm reading Leviathan Wakes by James A. Corey. This is one that's been on my shelf for a really long time. And it's really intimidating because the first book of the series is 550 pages long.
Oh, you've already read the first? Oh, no, this
is the first book
okay.
of the series. It's 550 pages long, and there's 8 books in the series, right? As of right now, I think. So there's a lot to read.
Is it science fiction?
It is science fiction. So basically, it's interplanetary, like, adventure in our solar system. There's, like, a colony, like a civilization on Mars with, like, billions of people there. People have populated every planet out to Neptune, I think, or Uranus.
That was a very good pronunciation, by the way.
Yeah. And people, like, this has been happening for 150 years, so it's been like a few generations down the line. So there's this big rift between, like, they call them like the Earthers and the like Belters, people who like live in the asteroid belt, and they develop differently. So like Earthers, like us, we grow to be like a certain height, and we have like a certain stockiness to us because the gravity like pulls us down. Belters, they don't have that gravity. They live in like 0.3 Gs, so they grow taller and leaner, and so you can like.
I am not a belter. I got
No
stock.
belters in this family.
We're not Belters, and so there's like different ways that they communicate, because like the Belters typically have like environmental suits and stuff, so they usually do like hand gestures instead of like shaking their head, because if you're in a space helmet you can't shake your head, like people wouldn't see it. So when they say no, they like do certain hand signals. So there's a whole divide. It's kind of like a racism thing between these places. Like the Earth hates the Mars people and everyone hates the Belters because they're different. And right now there is a mystery going on where something happened to this ship and it was a trap, and then this random like pirate ship nuked a massive vessel, and we think it might
very
be
intense.
Things got serious.
Yeah.
and we think it might be like a frame job, but we're not entirely sure. Like there's this whole mystery
How
around
far
it, figuring
into
it
this
out.
book are you?
130 pages.
Holy
Oh.
schmoly.
Well, keep us posted.
Yeah.
That
So
sounds like a lot.
there's 2
going
different
on.
perspectives in the
Oh,
book.
I like books with multiple POVs.
So the one is commanding officer of that ship that got exploded. He was off on like a separate rescue mission and like he saw the whole thing happen.
Was he in on it?
No, he's trying to figure out what the heck happened.
Okay.
And there's a whole thing. And then the other one is a detective who's searching for a missing girl who happened to be on that ship that was the bait. And eventually, according to the back of the book, they apparently work together, but I haven't figured out how the heck they're going to do that.
All right. Keep
But
us
it's
posted.
really, really interesting. So,
That sounds good.
Leviathan Wicks.
Have either of you finished books since our last podcast recording?
No.
Except for, I mean, you had your Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms.
Yes. I also read Breathe by Sarah Crossan, which was another young adult middle school novel. It was okay. It's pretty outdated now. I
Okay.
don't know that it's one that
Maybe
is
not
still really
recommending.
current. Yeah,
Okay.
Is that where there's a civilization with no air?
kind of. Yeah,
So you
You
went
sound
from no,
very not
you went
sold
from
on
no
this.
air to no water.
that is kind of on purpose. We designed our book clubs. We gave kids. There was 5 of us running book clubs, and we put 10 books out, 2 per each of us that went with a theme. So the 2 books that were assigned to me,
I
or
think I
chosen
get the
by
theme.
me, were Breathe and Dry, which was the dystopian where the world is being affected by things. And not many kids ended up signing up for Breathe, but many for Dry. So we transitioned all of them into Dry. We talked to them, and so that's why. But I had pre-read that one to get ready. Actually, it'll come up in a question we did later because I cheat read through it a little bit.
That's okay. Yeah.
I did a cheat read a little to get through it so I could talk about it with groups, which I ended up not doing. But
Segue
Well, wait. I kind of
Oh.
have a long list
of
of books I've read since the last time because I'm not working or schooling.
all right.
So I finished Local Woman Missing, which I talked about last time. Very big twist at the end. shout out Taylor Zach. She texted me and she was like, I was crying at the end of the book and Tyler was sitting next to me and her significant other. And he was like, why are you reading a book if it's making you cry? And she was like, you don't get it. And so she thought it was funny when we talked about people who like aren't readers or being like, why are you reading a book that's causing you emotional distress? And it's like, that's the point.
I shared with you guys, I was in my last probably 20 pages of the very intense Empire of Storms, and people were asking me questions. John was like, what do you want for supper? Can I get you this? And I apparently blocked him out, and he was a little offended. And he said, how did you not even hear me? And do you have any idea what was going on right now?
Did you not see my heavy?
Of course I can't hear you.
Yeah. So that I finished that one. I also read 2 Frida McFadden, The Perfect Son and The Locked Door. Again, both thrillers. Very good twist at the end. Frida McFadden is known for twists at the end of the book. Both were really good. Then I read a like little trilogy of like cute little adorable books.
Hallmark books.
Call Me Maybe, Sweet Talk, and Seatmate by Cara Bastone. And then those are really cute. All of them were basically on the premise of like the characters who meet and they fall in love. Yeah. Crazy. They have like
Hallmark books.
They meet via like an interesting way of like communication. So the Call Me Maybe is like a person getting like in touch with customer service. The Sweet Talk is about like a guy who has like really bad like learning disabilities and uses only talk text the wrong person his phone because he like he didn't read it well. And so then they ended up getting in like a talk text conversation. And then the last one was like Seatmate. They were seatmates on a bus by the bathroom. So then they bonded over that because they had the last 2 seats on the bus.
I see.
Icky.
And then I read The Bedroom Window, which was also by K.L. Slater. That was another thriller. That one was underwhelmed, but I guess I'm reading another one by him, so. Or her. I don't know. By them. And then those were all audio. And then I read House of Earth and Blood, Crescent City one, which we already talked about.
Wow.
Got it.
That's impressive.
Well, I've been doing a lot of, like I said, like with cleaning, with anything like in the house, mowing, I just put on an audiobook and then.
I need to do more audiobooks.
I love audiobooks.
I do a lot more podcasts than audiobooks.
Me too.
I should try that out.
Yeah.
How do you mentioned Audible? Is that the only way you access your
Libby.
audiobooks?
I do Libby and Audible. Audible. I have the like the plus version of Audible. So, but you can. There's 2 different like levels of Audible. There's the lower one, which like they have their category of like free ones that like you just get access to if you pay the lower version. But if you pay the upper version, each month you get 1 credit, which is like you get
Is that like a free book?
You get like a book for free.
And I feel like when you start
Lauren.
your drive for work, where you're going to be in the car for an hour plus every day, you'll appreciate having that. I think Spotify. We used Spotify at school for some kids. The free version had some of the books we're reading for book clubs, so that's another option.
Yeah, Spotify Premium has thousands of audiobooks, so I really need to get into them. But I'm a podcast guy.
All right.
So that's tough.
But I mean, your job, you could listen to an audiobook.
For sure. Yeah.
But are we okay over there, you guys?
You guys starting the house on fire?
All right. Should we transition to our Q&A?
I think so, yeah.
All right, Q&A, which we might get through all of these. We've been pretty chatty tonight. So
I don't think we need to.
Okay. No, I don't think we need to rush it.
We don't have to embellish on all of these a lot either.
So, like I said, on our social pages, we put out a couple of questions and just texted some family friends and asked them about if they had questions that they wanted answered on the podcast. So the first one comes from my mother-in-law, Lauren's mom, Michelle. And she just wanted to know, what are your favorite authors and books of all time and why? So who wants to go first?
You should go first.
I only came up with 3 authors because I'm more of just like a genre person rather than an author person. The first one is Sarah J. Maas, obviously.
Also on my list.
Yep.
Mine too, but I didn't write her down because I knew you guys would say her.
Okay, yeah.
The next one is Andy Weir, who we talked about last time.
Yep.
With the Project Hail Mary and The Martian. He's just Amazing. And then Timothy Zahn, who does a lot of like Star Wars books, because that was like a huge part of my childhood was reading Star Wars books. And anytime I see his name, it's like, well, pretty much any Star Wars book is an auto buy. But then like if I see his name, it moves to the top of my list to read.
Yeah.
Because I just really like the way he builds characters and like describes worlds and stuff. And he's been writing since like the 80s. And he's
Wow.
still doing it today.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How do you have
How
that
can
many things
someone
to
be
write?
so-
So old.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Are we on to me?
Yeah.
All right. I have 5 names on my list. My number 1 absolute favorite author who I wait for new books to come out
Can
from.
I guess?
Yep.
Laurie R. King.
Laurie R. King. So Laurie R. King has some standalone novels, but is best known for her series that is the Mary Russell series. Mary Russell is a partner to Sherlock Holmes, who is a strong, independent woman and travels the world solving mysteries and finding adventures. So that is my absolute
I need to read one
number
of her
1.
books.
My second one is also historical fiction, Beatrice Williams.
Is it Beatriz?
It is with a Z at the end.
Oh.
Beatriz Williams. Historical fiction, a lot of it from multiple points of view. Just a really great author. She just is one of those people that you picture the place she is and you live it while you're reading it. Obviously, Dame Agatha Christie has been a favorite of mine.
Ooh, dame. Way to
She's a
slip
dame.
that in there.
I started reading her 40 years ago and still love reading those books. I just got a new one that I hadn't read before that you came across, and it's on my to-be-read pile. The last one is a young adult author, Elizabeth. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It's Wien. So Wine. Elizabeth Wine, who writes young adults, but ones that adults would also enjoy. With one of my probably favorite books is called Codename Verity.
I want to read that. It's on
And
my
that
list.
book is one... It's historical fiction also, which apparently mystery and historical fiction are coming out strong for me in this conversation. And the last one is Louise Penny, who I think Michelle and I talked about that she reads this author as well. So
Nice.
Louise Penny
I need to read.
does the Inspector Armand Gamache series.
You listen to fun named books with fun character names.
Oh, there you go.
Hercule.
There you go.
Good.
How about you?
Armand. So obviously SJM.
Yep.
She has like the best world building and like her writing style. Like I know she's extremely popular and we're kind of on the bandwagon, but like just her writing style and her vivid descriptions. Like I can picture this world that doesn't exist with such clarity that I think it's like commendable to how she is as an author. Like this place doesn't exist, but in my head it absolutely does. Like it's a real place in my head. Like it's so good.
Yeah. For me, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Just to hop on more on the SJM thing, I cannot picture things in my head. I never have been able to. I have a really, really hard time with like, if I don't have reference for something, I cannot picture it in my head. When we were apartment shopping, we walked into an empty apartment and Lauren was like, can you imagine like a couch here and like a TV over there? And I'm like, no, I cannot like physically picture that in my head.
Yep.
And with SJM, I can, which is insane. Like I can
Yeah.
picture Valaris.
The night court. Yep.
Yes, like I know exactly in my
Spring
head
court, yeah.
what it looks like. And I haven't had that a lot in books where I can do it that easily.
Yep. And then just like her plot building, like the politics, the tying in everything like
So
that, and her
good.
character building, character arcs on there are just like chef's kiss. Like the building and the growth that they go through. I love that she shows trauma of
Yep.
characters. It's not just like I went to war and I'm fine.
And
like
they're not all perfect.
no,
There's all have imperfections and things.
And the
that-
perfect characters suck.
they do because they're not perfect at all.
Tamlin.
Hey,
All right,
hey.
moving on.
Spoilers, by the way.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, this is a recent one, Abby Jimenez. She just writes adorable romantic books. I kind of went for like one per genre just because like I read a lot. She's adorable. A lot of her books are based in Minnesota, which I love. I think it's just kind of fun to like read her books and be like, Lake Minnetonka, like cool. Frida
I know that place.
McFadden, I mentioned her earlier. She just has really good twists. She has a lot of books too, which is awesome. And then I went to like also books. I don't know if you guys put that in a separate category, but my favorite books not counting books by those authors, because all of the books by the other authors I have really liked.
Yep.
Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor.
That is an amazing
That's
book.
one I find recommending
Excellent
to like
book.
so many people. Like I constantly, they're like, if you like this, I'm Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And I feel like it's not that like popular of a book, but oh, I love that book. Divergent has a special place in my heart. I don't like how it ends, but it was one of the first books that like really got me into like obsessive reading. Like this, like I love reading. That was like my first book, so it has like a special little spot in my heart.
It was kind of where you transitioned from kind of more kid chapter books to like big series books.
Yeah. And then, okay, I had to put this book in there as one of my favorite books, The Worrysaurus. That's one of my favorite books of all time. It's so cute. It's a kid book.
If anyone knows Kaylin, she'll have you read The Worrysaurus.
It's so cute. It is just like, it's perfect for adults. It's perfect for kids. It just gives you like the best perspective on life and situations, and it's just so cute. So anyways, those are my favorite books, like, and authors, but I don't know if you guys put those in separate categories or not, but.
Well, I've thought of about 12 more while we're talking, but we'll move on.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many. When I was making this list, I was
It's a
like,
good
oh.
thing. This isn't our last podcast. We
Yeah.
can talk about more. We should probably keep a running list of books
doing
we've
more of
already
these?
talked about.
We're doing more of these podcasts?
Surprise. All right. What is our next Q&A, and who is it from?
From Dad. Not our dad, your husband, John.
Yeah.
I am aware. Thank you.
Shout out, John. If you could be one character from a book, who would it be and why? I had a really hard time with this,
I
actually.
had such a hard time with this.
I did not.
Oh, really? You
Nope.
had one
I have
ready to
two
go?
of them.
Dad
ready to
already
go.
answered it for you, actually.
Yeah, and he was right. And I have another one. Nope.
For me, I wanted, like, I'm always drawn to characters that have, like, magic and stuff. So, Feyre and Selena Sardathian.
Nice.
Thank you. They're just badasses.
Yeah.
And I love them. This is kind of a cheap answer.
I think it's interesting that you chose female SJM characters instead of like Rhysand or Cassian or Rowan or...
It's because the women carry those books.
I know they do, but like I
Yeah.
just think it's interesting that you as a male chose the female
I just-
protagonist.
they're-
Like, you know what I mean?
The way that, like we said, SJM writes them, I think is just so much more interesting because you
Yeah.
see so much more of their thought processes, I think.
They have depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that the other ones don't, but they have more than anyone
I would
else.
say Crescent City, you get more male character.
Perspective.
Yeah.
and
That'll be
stuff.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be good. The other one's kind of a cop-out because he's more of a movie character, but Luke Skywalker.
Nice.
Because there's 100, so a whole Disney book thing. But after Disney bought Star Wars, they basically canned all the old Star Wars books that had been written, and there was over 100 of them. And I grew up on those. Like at one point, one of my teachers told me I had to stop reading Star Wars books because I was reading them too much, and then I read other books out of spite.
Anyways, moving on.
But I just like really liked the way that they built on his character in
We
the
did
books.
stick
It
up
was
for you in
so
that
interesting.
case. I'd like to say reading is reading, and
you.
kids will eventually move on to other books. But
Appreciate
at
that.
the moment, reading is reading.
And then the other one that I thought of was Geralt of Rivia from the Watcher series or Witcher
Ooh.
series. Sorry, Witcher.
Is that Henry
Cavill
Cavill?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
with the long blonde hair. I love that world. The world
hot.
is so interesting. He is hot. He's also a giant nerd. So that's really cool.
He could so be Rhysand.
He could be recent.
Anyways, sorry.
But his character, he's just like a badass dude who has like a giant sword, and he also has like magical potions and stuff, which like scratches that little history itch for me too. Just a cool dude.
Wow. Okay. After saying that, can I just tell you a book you need to read?
Yes.
You need to read A Discovery of Witches
I have it. I have the book
by
upstairs.
Deborah Harkness.
Yep.
Okay.
And you will love those characters because they not only have the spells and things from history, but they travel into history.
I am reading that after Crescent City. I have it
I-
upstairs. I have book 1. I don't have the
Yeah. It's,
rest of them. Oh yeah, it is a show.
It is.
On Roku.
Do the
TV.
book.
Well, yeah.
Book first and then the show, but book stands out. Which mine
Oh, I've seen
also,
that
one
one.
of
Okay.
my characters also involves time travel, but one does not. One is my standard Mary Russell from the Laurier King books. And my second one is Flashback to your guys' childhood. Annie from Magic Treehouse.
Really?
Magic Treehouse. Get to travel in time. Get to explore places and
That's a
things.
good
and
one.
I would have loved. That's right there. Fantastic for me.
New one, Benny from Boxcar Children with this tiny little
His
cup.
I can't
chipped
believe it
cup.
took this long for Boxcar Children to come up.
We
In
talked
our-
about it in the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
Okay, I had the hardest time with this. So I, similar to Ryan, wanted to be a bad, I don't know if we can swear,
Yeah, we can
That
swear.
beat-
badass mother.
We have a
They
18
are-
plus rating on our podcast. You can say whatever you like.
Okay. All
Say
right. I
it.
wanted
Say
to
it.
be those badass mother.
Say-
I won't go that far. Farah, Nesta, Bryce, Lysandra, Gwyn, Emery. I said Bryce already. Danica. Like, I want to be all of her women. Like, but minus the trauma. Like, they go through a lot of trauma. So I'm like, I just kind of want to live in their world, have their magic, but also don't really want to fight in a war.
I'm noticing a major theme here, which is actually something I wrote down for when we start talking about. I'm not sure which question it goes with, but the books that I picked tended to go with very strong women
Yep.
forging their own path, not the historical fiction is women who are pushing the boundaries.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
I
I'm
totally
noticing
agree.
that we all seem to be a little bit on that page.
So I chose them, but I also would think that it'd be kind of fun to be Amelia Bedelia. I
I love that.
no consequences. You screw up 24/7 and
That's
everyone's like,
awesome.
man, that's Amelia Bedelia. Like,
You're not going to go Junie B. Jones here?
I thought about Junie B. Jones too. I also thought about Cam Jansen.
Click.
Click.
That's- those
And
pictures
so
are
yeah, I was like, oh, I could do, or Nancy Drew, or like
I
any like,
debated Nancy Drew,
Kate
Trixie
Ridge.
Belden.
yep. I thought about lots of like little crime solvers. But yeah, that was probably the hardest question I
Okay.
had.
All right. What is our next
Yeah,
question?
there they
and
are.
from
the Cam Jansen books.
yep.
They're so
I've never
cute.
heard of these.
Really? Oh, they're really cute.
I
They're
also
from
like
their
A to Z Mysteries. Those are cute.
YouTube one.
Nate the Great.
Cam Jansen has a
Throwback.
photogenic memory and it helps her solve
Encyclopedia Brown.
crimes.
Yeah.
And so when she like has
She's
a
kind of the
clue, she
FEMA.
presses click
Yep.
and then she has it in her memory. I thought of that all the way through PT school when I was studying and I was like looking at my study guide. I'd be like, click.
There
And
you
then I
go.
would like think about that during my
I
test.
read that one right there a lot. The Mystery of the Babe Ruth Baseball. Cam
Yes.
Jansen. Baseball mysteries. Yeah.
By David A. Adler, for anyone that wants to look them up.
Yep.
All right. Next
Does
question.
anyone know Amelia Bedelia? Do you, like, yeah. She's just an aloof person.
Yeah.
She's always mixing things up, taking things literally.
Very literally.
Yeah.
Dust the shelf and then she'll put dust
Sprinkled
on the
shelf.
shelf.
Yeah.
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 Amelia Bedelia is
There
awesome.
she is.
Amelia Bedelia by.
Oh, that's like a new Amelia
Whoa.
Bedelia.
yeah, she's been updated.
Good for her.
Mm-hmm.
Staying trendy.
Yep. All right. What's our next question?
Next
and from
question from one of my friends, Mel, who's out in New York.
Ooh.
Yeah. She just had wisdom teeth surgery, so hoping she's feeling good.
Yeah.
She asked, do you finish every book you start, or do you break up with books? And then what books have you broken up with and why? I could only really think of one real example, not including the Hunted one that I'm in a love-hate relationship with right now. The last one that I can really remember was in school. In 4th grade, I had to read Rascal. And I hate that book so much. I didn't even bother to look up the
And
author.
like a book that you are forced to read is always a hard start.
Yeah, there it is. So it's written in like this old English Southern twang, and the way that the author wrote it, it's not English. It's like, y'all go down to the creek and you're gonna go get that down there raccoon. You're gonna go get him, and it's actually wrote like that, where like the
No offense
slang
to people from
is
the South.
in the print. No, you can talk like that. That's fine. But like, don't write it like that. Like, write in English.
I actually can relate to that because
Yeah.
people kept trying to tell me to read. I think it's The Maid.
No, I think
No,
you said it
not
was
that one.
not To Kill a Mockingbird. It has a bird in it.
Anyway, we'll think of it because I had the same problem. People really want. Oh, where Anyway,
Where the
nothing but-
crawdads sing.
Yes, thank you. It's not a bird, but yeah, people
Sorry.
were
enough.
really pushing that book, and I had the same problem.
No,
I
like,
just couldn't get into it.
It was so bad. Like, I could not comprehend. I went to you and Dad, and I was like, I cannot read this. And you went to the teacher, and you were like, he needs another book. Like, this is horrible. And she's like,
You're
"Oh,
making me sound like an aggressive parent
this
with
is-"
teachers.
No, but like, I'm a 4th grader. I can't read. I don't go there.
It's okay.
I'm also gonna say, like, you're a 4th grader that reads. Like, you're not just
You loved reading. Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? It's not like you're like a 4th grader that hates reading and is just hating this book because you hate to read. Like,
True.
you were a reader, and it's like, I don't like this book. I just don't like it.
I just can't understand. I couldn't understand it.
Do you have any more from 4th grade on that you would feel that way about?
No,
Okay.
That's pretty impressive.
literally just that book.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive.
I alluded to what I do earlier. I do cheat reads sometimes, in particular when I'm reading ones for young adults, students at school, and sometimes I get impatient with them. So I'll do a little scan and then read the end so that I can talk about it. But books that I choose on my own, I don't always do that with, or I don't do that with very often. I can't really think of any.
The
Yeah, you had one not long ago. Oh, we've got a sigh.
the Winter People. Okay, and preface to this, like, obviously books are completely subjective. So like any book that we aren't,
Right.
we have struggles with. It's not saying like don't try them.
No,
Like you can still love them. It's just that books are completely subjective. So like
absolutely.
no hate to the authors or anything. It's just like some
Personal
books just don't
preference.
vibe with you. The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon.
McMahon. Pretty sure it's pronounced McMahon. Yeah.
Mahan.
McMahon.
The Chicago
Okay.
Bears used to have a quarterback. so, like, yeah,
Anyways, the narrator of the book, I read it on audio. Narrator was like, had like a whiny voice that just, I can't stand whining in general, like in real life. But then when my audiobook person had that, I was going nuts. Then I also disliked every single one of her main characters. All of them. I was like listening to it in the car ride home, and I'm like, make better decisions. And so then it was on Libby, and my thing expired, and I was like, well, too bad. So
Letting that one go.
so I literally probably made it 89% through that book and was like, whatever. I didn't even read how it ended. I didn't even read a summary of like, oh, this is what happens at the end. I didn't care.
Well, no spoilers for that one from us.
No, I did not like that book. So there's the book if you want to read it.
After that glowing review.
Maybe it's better physical copy. Maybe it gets interpreted better. I don't know, but it just did not vibe with me. I was not a fan of that. And then there's another book, House of Leaves, by Mark Z. Danielewski. It confused the crap out of me. If Hannah, my sister-in-law, is listening to this, I borrowed the book from her. I borrowed the book from her and I never gave it back. And I found, because I lost it, and then I found it years later.
It's been in our house in your closet this entire time.
And by then, it was like under my bed, and then I found it or something. It was like tucked in the back. And then I found it, and she had already bought a new book by this time, and I felt like the cardinal sin of book borrowing. And so, Hannah, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. I can give you a second copy of your book.
Sam, can you go back to
And I never even finished it. That's what's even worse.
Look at the pages.
Yes, they are really weird. And
What?
Yes, and this is my note. Confused! Exclamation point.
Do you think you would think differently if you tried it now?
I think I
you
read
were
this in high school,
Yeah.
which I was not great.
Well, you just change.
Well, and I was like,
Different viewpoint.
I wasn't focusing on the book. I would read
that is-
some.
We need Hannah on as a guest to tell us about that book.
Because she loves it. Like, she recommended it, so that's why I borrowed it, which I still, like, I asked Sam the other day, like, what's the thing that you feel guilty about? Like, years later, that's mine, that I feel so bad. So, Hannah, if you're listening, I'm sorry, I still have the book.
I think Hannah needs an Amazon gift card from you. Or
That's true,
something.
yeah. Okay, I'll
Did
do
you
that.
Get like very far into the book, did you say? I didn't hear.
Probably a third.
Okay, because this was a book I intended to read for a long
Talk
time.
more into the top.
How about that?
Yeah.
Better? Okay. This was a book I intended to read for a long time and never could get myself to turn a page. But I was so young at the time.
Not very
like,
far into
Yeah.
it, no.
It's so hard to read. So anyways,
want
that's
to.
one of mine. I would try it again. That's not like the Winter People's one. Like I'm not trying again.
Right.
But this one I would try again. It was in high school.
You're at a different place now.
I have a copy of the book.
Whose copy do you have?
It's a magic
so
copy.
bad.
It just showed up.
But yeah, that's
Look at that page. That's so interesting.
yeah. It's like a mystery
How do you
thriller. I think it's kind of supposed to be horror too, a little bit, but not like
We'll ask Kiana. We'll have her on.
yeah. So
Okay.
those are my two that I have never I have not finished. Otherwise, I have finished every book, even if I don't like it. Especially if it's a physical, I will grit it out and probably finish it.
that
But-
cover rules, by the way. That looks so sweet.
Yeah,
That is
love
cool cover.
yeah.
I wish I had that for the next segment. Well, the future
No.
segment.
Yeah.
Too late now.
Yeah.
Too late now.
Okay.
All right, next question.
Next question comes from Jen. Do the bookies use Goodreads? And the answer is kind of.
That's exactly what I wrote down.
I'm horrible at tracking my books. I try to do it and I always forget and I'm just disorganized and a mess. You guys use it
I do.
way better than I do.
I have used it in the past, attempted to, but I don't. It's been years since I added to it. I have a running book log that's just a Google Doc that I just have the 2024 at the top, and as I finish a book, I just list it under there. It goes back to 2010.
That's really
Wow.
cool.
That's impressive.
So it's not accessible to anybody else, but I would share it with anybody that wants
Yeah.
to. It's just not publicly out there. I have shared it with a few people. It's not that I don't want to.
Yeah,
Gatekeeping books.
I
As I talk about them
Yeah.
on the podcast.
I started logging in 2023 because I feel like that's when I really started getting into like reading a lot of books per year. And I wanted to I was getting into several situations where it's like, I don't remember if I read this book or if I've just read the synopsis of this book. So I was like, okay, I need to start tracking. So I do what mom does, Google Doc. And usually I just use the Google Docs to track like how many books I've read in a year. Just because I like to have like a little goal for read. I don't do like a strict goal. Like some people do it like,
I can share mine with Sam to show how I do it next time.
yeah, I do the same thing. So like there's the 2024 and then it's just like a list
Oh, wow.
here. And then like at the end of the year, I just tally the total and put it up at the top.
That's a good idea.
Um,
I like it to look back because sometimes I'm trying to think of like, wow, what was that book called?
Yeah,
Or who was that
exactly.
author? And
Yeah.
to scroll back and find that or tell people about a book.
yeah. So I use that, but then I also do use Goodreads like I actually get really excited when I finish a book to add it to my book log and then to also add it to my Goodreads, which is crazy. Kaylin loving to like log something and
In
write it
organized
down.
things.
This is crazy.
List?
So yeah, I do use Goodreads. And then just today, actually, I just downloaded Storygraph because these two are talking about wanting to use it. And so I downloaded it and then imported my Goodreads into it. And I'm planning to use that a lot more. So you can find me on either of those if you're wanting to like see what I'm reading or like follow. Both of them are just my name. So if you wanted to see
Kaylin
what
Halverson.
Kaylin_Halverson.
I checked out the Storygraph today too, and I didn't get very far into it because I didn't have time, but it looks interesting.
It's super cool. So I put in, like I said, I imported my Goodreads, and so they actually break things down, like give you statistics, if you're into that sort of thing, which I am. I think it's cool.
Nerds.
They break it down into, isn't that what this whole podcast is
yeah,
about?
we're book nerds right here.
Yeah. So they break it down into like how many books you've read, and you can break it down into like year, lifetime. They also break it down into pages you've read, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
So this year I've read 8,100 pages, which is kind of fun.
sounds
Like,
awesome.
Oh my god!
yeah.
Not to mention how many hours and words of studying.
Yeah, I
that
guess
aren't logged
that doesn't
on there.
count.
Yeah, can you put your anatomy textbook on there?
Yeah, right. My NPTE thing
Yeah,
that's
you-
like study and
You
it's
could
like
kill
that
a
big.
man with that thing.
Yeah. Then they also break it down into moods,
You
which is
fix
kind of
them
cool.
with it, Ryan.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. They break it down into moods, which I think is kind of cool. Apparently, I like reading mysterious, dark, adventurous books, and I was like, okay.
Ew. Wow.
Yeah. They break it down into pace too, like if they're faster paced reads, medium paced reads.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, and then they also do like page number, like 500 plus, 300 to 499, and then less than 300.
I did think it was interesting when I was looking into it that it's a small business.
Yeah.
Goodreads being owned by a very large corporate place that sells books.
Yep.
And this one being owned by a small private or like a.
It's like a startup,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah, they also break it down into like fiction, nonfiction, genres, the type of like format, if it's audio versus print versus digital.
Cool.
And then like authors. They also have languages, which apparently I logged one as Spanish, which I did not read it in Spanish. But
Maybe House of Leaves, the copy you had was in Spanish. Maybe that was the problem.
But yeah, and then they also break it down into star ratings. So I think it's like a cool way to see all those different things.
And you mentioned something about the star ratings when we talked about it earlier that you liked.
Yeah, so Goodreads only lets you do it in full star ratings, and sometimes a book is just a straight up 3.5, or
Not quite a 4.
not quite a 3,
But not
like
a 3.
yeah. So this one does let you do. You said 0.25, I think it was,
I think that's what I saw.
which is really nice
The
because
math teacher in me is very satisfied by that.
well, yeah, because really a difference between a 4 and a 5 or a 3 and a 4 is huge for me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a very distinct difference between a 4 and a 5. Like I'm actually pretty stingy with my 5s, so if I get a 4.5, I would really use that more, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
All right, we have a Jen part 2. Jen says, I find I sometimes read nonfiction to learn about my latest curiosities. The topics usually have to do with parenting, health, the environment, mental health. On the topic of your book print, as Annette put it, I wonder how the bookies see their personalities and seeking answers to big questions, how they show up in their books they choose to read, especially their nonfiction choices, if they are reading those.
This was such an excellent philosophical question, Jen.
It really
like
was.
you went way deep into your mind palace to find this question, and it was amazing.
I felt really bad because I didn't have a really good answer because I don't read nonfiction for my curiosities. I seek out like visual or audio media for it. Like I do podcasts or like I look for like a YouTube video.
I feel like you can elaborate on the podcasts that you seek out, like what kind of information you seek out on podcasts, because it's kind of like
Yeah, so like with my latest like science fiction like stuff, I've been really interested in like engineering and physics and stuff like that, and so I've been learning a little bit more about like relativity and physics and smart people things. And so like I've been searching podcasts with like experts. So like the one that I just started today was the Lex Friedman podcast. He had a like practicing theoretical physicist on there, and just hearing him talk about like quantum mechanics and all this stuff's really interesting. But then I also am a history nerd. Like I used to be a history teacher. So like there's a podcast, Everything Everywhere Daily, that it's just like 10 to 15 minute episodes.
I love that one
day.
when I walk. I love that because it's 15 minutes and you get through a topic.
Yeah,
And
I start my day with it typically every day. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, yeah, we'll see how it sounds. And it'll be like 5 minutes in and I'll be like, I don't know. But I'm like, it's only 10 more minutes. And then I just keep listening and I learn something. So there's like little things like that I find are more enticing for me than nonfiction books.
I would say the majority of nonfiction that I read, and I don't know what it says about my personality, but is like autobiography or biographical in nature. When I read those, I've read some of those, or they're like, I don't even know how to explain this, but like little short excerpts. There's an author called Heather Lendy, an author named Heather Lendy.
they call her Heather.
I think it's her real name. I didn't read it like that. She lives in a little town in Alaska, and she writes the obituaries for the papers. So one of hers is called Find the Good, and she just tells the stories of the people she comes across in her life. There's a really interesting one, which I meant to look up the title of, and I can share it for next time, about this. It's like this person who lived in the big city and they end up losing everything and moving to this little town and raising goats. And it's just like a crazy story that you have to read to believe, but what they find in themselves by having to do that, like that. And same in autobiographical.
The like self-discovery.
Yeah. Drew Bledsoe has a really good autobiography. You mentioned, I think I might be stealing yours, but there's a book by Jay Shetty.
Yep, it's right there. Think Like a Monk.
Think Like a Monk. That one was really interesting to me. So those kind of nonfiction. And then I would say, to be honest, the majority of nonfiction that I end up reading is probably work-related through book studies or just through wanting to be better at what I do. So I have one for the summer, which I'll talk about next time when we do our What I'm Reading.
Nice. I find that I gravitate towards like mental health, food, yoga, physical health. Kind of like with you, it's like a lot of like work related things because I just gravitate towards like the human body and how it functions. So I have a lot of like yoga ones that I got that are like discussing like moving beyond just like the physical practice of yoga, but also like the mental practice. So I have a lot of like yoga. I also love books that are like introspective. So like where I can just like open to a page, it'll just give me something to think about. And then like usually when I open the page to this book or this book, it is something I need to hear. And they're both like things that just how to put your life into perspective and realize that like don't take things too seriously. Like it's okay to be aloof. It's okay to not figure it out. It's okay to be like you're a little bit lost right now, but that's okay. So I love books like that.
When I was going through a really tough time, like toward the end of teaching, and I was having like really bad like mental struggles, you sent me some passages
Both from these books.
from those books, and they helped a lot.
Yeah.
Like not joking, like they were exactly like what I needed to hear those days.
And those days I pretty much I like flipped it open and was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for Ryan. Like that's exactly what I needed. This book does have like dates. It's called The Book of Awakening. This is one of my top books that I turn to.
Keep hitting the table.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
By Mark Nepo. Not sure how you say it, but this is one of the top ones that I turn to. This one is more introspective than the others. Like it's sometimes you have to dig for the meanings behind things with it, but it's really good. This one is a little bit more like it's written by a mom, and this one's more like surface level. Like she will tell you what she's meaning. Like you don't have to dig into like, what am I reading about here? This one's really good too for just like lighthearted stories and just hearing like more a perspective of somebody else's point of view to look at yourself and be like, okay, this maybe isn't as big of a deal as I'm making it. And then like health stuff. I just love like Glucose Revolution, talking about like how glucose affects your body. PT stuff, like this is a patient book actually that I have just for reference for teaching patients about pain neuroscience education. Basically just like health stuff, how it interacts with the body, how your body deals with certain adversities, nutrition, movement, anything like that. So that's usually what I gravitate for nonfiction. And then like mental health, kind of like the Think Like a Monk mom said too. So that's I don't read a ton of nonfiction, but that's
We're
usually
sorry,
what I
Jen, we weren't great on the nonfiction response.
No.
I'm always like intending to read more nonfiction.
Agreed.
But then whenever I go to pick a book, I'm like, I kind of just want to escape and be transported to somewhere else. And like a nonfiction makes me think about like all my problems.
Maybe for my summer bucket list, I was referencing I should read 15 minutes of nonfiction every day.
That's kind of like, have you heard of the 75 Hard?
No.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of diet. It's more lifestyle change. So you have to do 2 45-minute exercises a day. One has to be outside. You have to change your diet. They don't have a diet for you to follow. It's like you could do.
Is this a book or a program?
No, it's like a general program, and you can change it to
like a
adapt to yourself.
self-created program. So like Lauren and I started putting together like a 75 soft program. So instead of going like as intense, like 2 workouts a day, we were going to do like 1.
Yeah.
And then we have like a list of things that we're going to do every day. Like one would be like cook a meal. One would be like stretch in the evening or work out or play pickleball or something. And we didn't do it. But we have the Google Doc for it.
Perfect.
We're not here to judge.
No, we're not here to judge. But anyways, where I was going with that 75 Hard, part of their 75 Hard, like it's supposed to be a lifestyle change. And of that, they have you reading, I think the minimum was like 5 pages a day of a nonfiction book, which I thought was cool to include in like a health journey of like reading a book about like self-discovery and stuff like that. So I just thought that was cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Last question. This one's for you, Mom.
Oh boy.
This is from Isaac. He asks, how the heck, I added the heck.
He might have said that. I don't know.
How did you find time to read while raising kids?
Well, short answer would be I didn't read as much then as I do now, so that probably doesn't help a lot. Longer answer, I think I would say just whenever it fit. Like right now I might sit down and read for 2 hours. Then it might have been you read for 2 minutes.
Bring it to a baseball game.
That's what I wrote down, actually. I said anywhere it fits. So after bedtime, at bedtime, we read together at bedtime a lot. And sometimes when you guys got older, we'd each read our own book silently at bedtime. Mm-hmm. A big adventure in the summers was going to the public library.
Yes.
And we used to trek to the public library and everybody would come home with their books and then everybody would read for the afternoon. So Isaac's kids are a lot younger than we were at the point that we did that, although you were pretty little when we started doing that and getting library books. There was a ship at the library.
The library is the coolest.
I've heard the library is really cool now.
Oh, it is.
They've renovated it.
Really?
Yeah, so I've heard Grand Forks
go.
Library is like really awesome.
We should
and
do
I've
a
heard
field
they have,
trip and then report in on
we
it.
should.
On a
And I've heard they have
episode.
really good. I know Hannah, my sister-in-law, which Jen and Isaac are also Sam's siblings. But Hannah brings her kids there for events all the time. I know they have like activities all the time, and the renovations are awesome. So shout out Grand
We
Forks
could
Library.
do, like a whisper podcast
At the library. We would be terrible at
We
that,
would-
Sam.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea.
Oops, sorry. We'll keep it down.
Just
So
carrying in all of our equipment.
back
Yeah.
to that question, the other thing I would say is I just always had a book with, and at baseball practice, t-ball practice, I guess I was the coach a couple years, but when I wasn't the coach, I was
Just go play, guys.
I was reading while they were playing or while they were at a playground. And like I said, the short answer is not as much. I probably read a tenth the number of books that I read now,
Yeah.
but
Nothing wrong with that. You were still reading.
yeah, and I enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
we read together a ton, which I'm sure they do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During school, this is interesting because I really fell away from reading I still read in high school, but I was so busy with sports and everything, but I was still reading quite a bit in high school. I actually completely lost reading in my undergrad college. I probably
too.
read like 2 books in 3 years, which is like, for context, I read 42 last year. Like I read 2 books in like 3 years, which is crazy for me right now. And then I actually refound it and fell in love with it in grad school, which just seems backwards because you would think like that is when I'm the most busy. But I found that that's like when I needed the most escape.
Yeah.
So I really, really tried hard to like carve time into my day. And I know with kids, you can't carve time into your day because they're kids and they're there. Like you don't just like go in the other room, lock the door. Like I'm going to read. But like I really tried hard to carve time into my day because I needed something for me to do for me. Because if I didn't have that, like I was just doing something. I mean, school was for me too, but like I needed something I enjoyed in the day. So I really tried to.
I would say another way that I had an advantage is in my job. The principal that I had for many years believed passionately in kids having time to read, and building that into the schedule, that 20 minutes a day of independent choice reading was valuable. And so our job to model that while kids are reading allowed me to read. So probably the time you guys were little, the majority of books I read were probably meant for 12-year-olds because I was reading them at school so that I could read them from the library and talk with kids about them, which you can read a lot of those books in not a lot of time.
Yeah.
But not every job obviously has you reading for 20 minutes a day with books that you're going to talk to people about. So,
shout out Nancy Duteau.
I know. She instilled that appreciation for reading development in kids and the value of that in me, and I appreciate that, and to this day advocate strongly and
We need more of that.
pushing that that kids have that opportunity.
And that choice, like Ryan was saying, like he was forced to read Rascal, but like you guys didn't like force a book on. Like it was like just you get 20 minutes of independent reading.
And we
like
And
Still-
read something.
We still work to maintain that, and there's controversy in the world of reading, as graphic novels reading, as audiobooks reading. Yes, reading is reading.
Yeah.
You are
Exposing-
absorbing content that's
engages-
not like
Exposing yourself to words.
Engages your brain, exposing you, and
creating a mental picture. Like TV, movies, they give you the picture, where
Right.
audiobooks, like I guess graphic novels have a picture, but you're still having
do,
to
but-
like create the story in
and
your head and
connect
follow
it.
along and
Yep.
like
it's
so-
not my favorite style of reading, but I respect it for other people.
Yep.
And she, like I said, strongly advocated for that, and
That's so
still we push to keep that in our middle school as a way of providing that to kids. And there's a lot of research that backs it up. Strong
awesome.
reading research that
That's
backs that up.
Sam, do we have time for judge a book by its cover?
We've been talking for a long time.
It's all up to you guys.
I feel like we can do it.
I think we'd make it a speed round of thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it.
Yep.
All right, so yeah.
We'll
Sam?
see how many thumbs up it gets. We'll
So
rate
like we
'em.
said earlier, we're doing judge a book by its cover. So Sam has 5 books that he doesn't think that we've ever seen before. If we've seen it, we'll just bow out and be like, I don't know what this is about. But we're strictly going to base it off of what the cover looks like and then be like, I want to read that or I don't, because we in the bookstore discussed that we often judge books by its cover.
And this will be a visual part on our YouTube. Like, we'll give you the name of the book, obviously, so you can go look it up. But if you want to also go to the YouTube video, you can see it as well.
And you're welcome to describe it a little bit if you want.
Okay, yeah.
And then if you want me to pull up a
Go to our
summary.
YouTube. No, I'm just kidding.
If you want me to pull up a summary, I have that like right next to it. So
All right, book number 1.
Oh.
Yes.
Perfidious Albion by Sam Byers.
So it looks like a Tower of Babel situation, but then like each layer is like a different era of society.
There's a British flag at the top.
It looks like old like Roman concrete, and then it goes to like Victorian Gothic style all the way up to like modern parking ramps, and
There's like advertisements over on it too.
When
I'm giving this a thumbs up.
Yep.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Absolutely.
Three thumbs up.
Looked up the title.
Perfidious
It went into
Albion.
the like explanation of the words, and I think they were saying Albion is a name for like old Great Britain, like that's what it used to be called or something like that. That's
Yeah.
why you're seeing the Great British Flag. I can't remember what they define perfidious as, but I might say here.
Welcome to Edmondsbury, a small town in England, sometime in the recent future.
You already got mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in England. She's sold.
Yeah.
Possibly, yes.
Okay.
Grassroots right-wing political. Interesting.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Next.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, definitely, yes. That is 1,000 times a thumbs up for me.
Why is that?
I don't know. There's a girl looking out over water, and it looks dramatic, and it looks mysterious, possibly magical.
I'm giving it a medium. I'm giving it not a thumbs up, thumbs down. I would need to, if I got looked at this book in the store, I would need to read the description to decide if I wanted to read it.
The book is Winter Tide by Ruth Ann Emrys.
So
Ruth Ann Emrys?
I think I'm obviously reading this into this way more than I would be at like Barnes and Noble, but like I think I'm a yes just because the font looks like Viking-y.
Whoa.
Good observation.
So like it's like or like Celtic kind of writing. So I think like I'm a medium.
All right, Sam, what is it?
We've
What
got
is
one up, two medium. Oh, it is fantasy horror.
The Innsmouth
Whoa.
Legacy Number 1. After attacking Devil's Reef in 1928, the U.S. government rounded up the people of Innsmouth and took them to the desert far from their ocean.
Huh.
Cthulhu.
That is still kind of
Thumbs up for me.
yeah. I'm like beep. I'm kind of switched.
So you're kind of beep on that one. That sounds good.
Okay.
That was for the visual people out there. Oh, that's a thumbs up.
I have looked at this book and almost bought it, so I'm out on this one.
So that's a thumbs up for you.
I think I'm a thumbs down.
That's a thumbs up for sure.
The Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan.
It looks like a historical fiction.
Actually almost bought this book last weekend when we were at Barnes & Noble.
Thumbs up.
The title itself was really interesting to me. I thought.
I don't like I like that cover way better.
See, no, I tried to pick the original covers.
Which I like that. I like that you
I
did
don't
that.
want to pick the updated ones, or sometimes
Like
they
if
go,
you've ever
really
seen Magnolia
simplistic.
Parks, the original cover is gorgeous, so cool. The new one's like,
So the other one that you showed is like cluttery and just like
ooh, magical realism.
I don't love like
I'm 2
there's
thumbs up now. I wish I would have
there's
bought
like
it.
leaves behind the words.
okay,
It
we
just
bought
looks
6
bad.
books.
I don't like it.
That trip.
A charming, clever, and quietly moving debut novel of endless possibilities and joyful
Aw.
discoveries that explores the promises we make and break, losing and finding ourselves, the objects that hold magic and meaning for our lives, and the surprising connections that bind us.
I think I'm still a no.
I don't know if we ever said it, but did you say The Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan?
I
That's
did.
a
Okay.
good point. We should say that.
And then
Okay.
the original cover was kind of like floral, so there was like
Puzzle
a locket, there was a
pieces.
key, a puzzle piece.
I'm still a no. Yep.
Nope.
No.
Yep.
That's a no.
This
Why
book
not?
is The Fall.
Thumbs down.
This is Halo, The Fall of Reach by Eric Nyland.
I don't need a book about Master Chief.
Yep.
I don't even know
Master
what that
Chief.
means.
That's the name of the character.
So
Yeah.
this is the
Okay.
prequel to the Halo video games, which is
Great.
yeah.
You know what? You guys can review
Yeah,
that
everybody
and let
has
us know
their
about
niche.
that.
That's been the
Yep.
highest
hey,
rated
look.
book so far.
Look at that.
That's great.
A great book.
Nice. Everybody has their niche.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last one, Mom and I were like, thumbs
Yep.
up.
Highly
This one, we're
recommend.
like,
Okay.
thumbs down.
Okay.
All right.
Do we have
so,
one more?
One more.
No.
This looks too classic.
This is Daniel Defoe, Journal of the Plague Year.
This book was written in the 1500s.
Oh,
No.
Penguin Classics. I was like, this
Yeah.
looks too classics.
No.
It looks like a book about death,
Yeah,
anytime
and not in a fun way.
that I'm
this doesn't look fun.
I should be
It sounds really interesting.
It
I'll
sounds-
say.
It's
sad.
about the plague.
as a history teacher, I should be way more into like these types of books, but I'm not.
That's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, I think that's No.
Sam, excellent variety of choices. too.
Yeah, how did you find these?
I used in part a website called Recommend a Book for Me or something like that.
And said, give me the most random
Well,
selection.
because
Yeah.
there is
Website
no
called
like
Google.
pick a random book website other than
Okay,
that one that I could
okay.
find. So just to start, I did something like that. Obviously, I added in Halo for myself and for you fine folks. But anyways,
And you not find folks.
Well, good job, Sam.
didn't
Those
like
were cool. Cool.
That was
books
a
to-
cool. I like
like
that.
that.
I
I
like
think
that
the
feature.
cover looks really
It
cool.
was
in
the
this,
Keeper
but
of
yeah,
Lost
maybe
Things, right?
Not interesting. What's
All
up?
right.
It is
Keeper
really-
of
Keeper
Lost
of Lost
Things.
Things,
I'm
yes.
adding that to my list.
I'm,
All
Write
right.
that for me too.
I'm not.
Does anyone have any final comments before we go into recommendations?
I think we just go right into
Yeah.
recommendations.
All right.
So one of the new things we're going to try is at the end of every episode, we're going to recommend something. It could be book related. It could be completely non-book related. And this time I have two. So in looking for things to do today, I looked up Blind Date with a Book because I always thought that was really interesting. The library at Central, they would like wrap books in like paper.
I always think that looks cool.
Yeah, and then they would be like, this is a science fiction. And then you would kind of get like a really vague description. And so I looked that up, and there's actually a website called blinddatewithabook.org. And it's this couple who basically do this. They have like random books that are like they save them from going to the landfill. And they wrap them up and they put them into categories. There's like Blind Date with a romance book, with a fiction book, with surprise book, mystery. All these things, they're all $15 as far as I can tell.
I did this once.
With this website.
No, it was from a bookstore in Michigan called Good Dog Books, a small family-owned business called Good Dog Books, and you could order a mystery book.
Well, the thing that I love about this is if you want to go to the About Us section, this couple does it. It's Melody and her husband Roberto, and they are looking to raise money to adopt or foster children.
I think we should each do one before our next podcast.
Okay.
I think that would be awesome because all like of the proceeds go to help them. What they say, how do they say? Each book sold is one less book that ends up in a landfill, and a few more dollars to support our family's foster journey. And I think that's so cool that they're doing that, and it's awesome. And I really want to just support them, so I wanted to shout them out.
So if the three
Cool.
of us do this, we'll share what books we get on our next podcast.
Yep.
Follow up coming.
Yep.
So I think that's really cool. And then, so that's my book related one. My other one is a podcast that I listen to at work. I'm a big true crime person, and there was an unsolved mystery podcast that I really, really liked. It was, they covered like some spooky paranormal stuff, but they also did like serial killers and other things like unsolved mysteries around the world, called Red Web. And their parent company shut down. And they were in this like limbo. They weren't sure if they're going to be able to continue because of like legal rights with all of their like branding and everything. And they just announced either earlier this week or last week that they are going independent and they will continue on. And I am so pumped. It's two dudes, Trevor and Alfredo, and they are hilarious. They're awesome. They tell it in such an interesting way. And I cannot recommend them enough. So if you like unsolved mysteries, true crime, spooky ghost stories, Red Web.
Red Web.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay.
All right. I am going to shout out my recommendation is a podcast called Making It. And it does not have anything to do with reading. It is three people who are artists, creators, woodworkers, and we sort of came across it. Well, I came across it because my husband is a woodworker, but it's an interesting one. They are very diverse people who just talk about, like we did, what's going on in their lives, what they're working on, what their passion is at the moment. So Making It with Jimmy DiResta, Bob Clagett, and David Picciuto.
There they are.
Nice. Do you have any others?
I just did one. I didn't know we had multiple recommendation options.
I didn't actually come up with a recommendation, but I have one if you want me to share it. But
I would love that.
Okay, so there's a podcast called Noble Bloods that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I've literally forced Ryan and Sam to listen to this
really
because
good.
they haven't.
You also asked me repeatedly if I've listened yet.
I know I have because everybody should listen to it because it's so good. It is written by Dana Schwartz, who she actually has written a book herself. It's a pretty popular one. I think it's young adult. It's called Anatomy: A Love Story. I've heard really good things about it. There's a sequel out for it too, but she is just such a good storyteller. If you know me, I notoriously hated history all through high school. Like it was not
Sorry, Mr. Larimer.
fun. And Strand. Sorry.
Sorry, Mrs. Strand.
But that was just not
Sorry.
my thing. I
Nothing
just
personal.
hated it. But she's just like so good at spinning a story and making it a narrative versus like
Learn
a timeline, like strictly like boop, 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 boop. It's like this happened and this happened, which caused this. And then there's this like cascade of events. And so Noble Bloods is my recommendation. It's
All right.
really good.
Nice.
All right. Well, with that, I think it's time to put the bookmark in. So we are the Bookies, Ryan, Kaylin, and Annette. Thank you for listening. Until the next chapter.
You can also find us on Instagram at paperback_perspectives, Twitter or X at paperback_pod, TikTok at paperback.pod, YouTube at Paperback Perspectives, and email us at paperbackperspectives@gmail.com. Pretty much anything Paperback Pod, Paperback Perspectives, you can find us on any of those social media sites. We'll be posting more coming up, especially with as we release more episodes.
Yep.
Who knows? We might make a TikTok coming up.
That'd be really cool.
That would be fun. So with that,
Sam?
Mom, what do you have to say?
I was just going to mention those should be in the description of the episode that you're
Perfect.
listening to. So if you did
Thanks to
not catch all
Sam and Lauren for all their assistance today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are
that. Way to go,
awesome.
Yep.
Lauren.
Way to go,
So-
Sam.
Until the next chapter.
Until the next chapter.
Until the next chapter.